Good afternoon, everyone. It's Donna here from Riverside Beads. Today we're going to look at our beaded Halloween character charms. There's a couple of characters and then our gorgeous little pumpkin earrings. So I'm going to show you how to make each of these individually. I thought we'd start with our pumpkin earrings. So if you buy a kit from Riverside Beads, you're going to get everything you need within your kit, plus full step-by-step instructions too. So everything will come in its separate bags as you need, with all the elements to get this project made. So these pumpkins are a howlite sort of semi-precious stone. So they are random and different patterns on those, just like a true pumpkin would be. These are our head pins. So this is what this project is built up on. And this is to make a set of earrings, actually. So this does include the earrings as well and everything you will need. We've given you a few extras of these. Just the little stems, just in case you want to make it a little longer or anything as you're going. And then you've got your ear wire as well, plus your wire. So I'm going to show you some of the techniques for doing this to make your gorgeous earrings. So we'll just make one of them for now. So everything comes in its individual little bags, and if we need to, we sort of try and mark up sizes or anything that might be appropriate on any of our kits. So that's everything you're going to need. There's a lovely picture of this on the Riverside Beads website, so it will show you the materials as well. But then all of our step-by-step instructions have nice big pictures, such as this one, which you'll have to keep at home as well. So here's how this project works. We're going to take our head pin and pop our pumpkin-shaped bead onto the head pin. Then we're going to do our leaf on the top there and our stem. Like so. Now, like I say, you could do a slightly longer stem if you wanted to. Now, you can either pop the wire on at this stage, so it fits nicely, or you could do your head pin loop if you find that a little bit tricky and do it afterwards. So I'm going to go with the wire on now. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of this off. And then what I'm going to do is put this round the little stem, like so, and I'm just going to wrap it on itself. So I'm pinching that round in a circle, just round on the stem. I might just take the that off for a minute, just because it keeps getting in the way. And I'm popping that round there, nice and tight. So we've got a photo of this in your instructions, so don't panic too much. That can then go down. Then I think I'll pick up my stem, just to save me battling around that. Okay, so that's that one there. What I'll probably do is leave the wire. This is what I put in the instructions. Leave the wire at that stage, do my head pin loop, and then I can come back and shape the wire without distorting it. So to do a head pin loop, and I know a few people that are watching today have asked me to show a loop again, and they're new to this technique. You take your cutting pliers. So we do a lovely set of 4 pliers, and you'll see me pick each of those up in turn as I need them. These are Riverside Beads premium set of pliers. And you chop that, try and point it into the mat, which will stop it going too far. Round those pliers next, and we bend that at a 90-degree angle. Now, just a word of warning, that is a glass bugle bead. If you turn that really close to that, it'll crack. So I tend to turn it until I can just feel it touching that. And then without stabbing your fingers, so you're more pushing that over without stabbing, bend that over at a 90-degree angle. Then what we do is we take our round nose pliers. Now, wherever you use on those pliers, whichever point of the tapered round nose will be the size of the loop you get. So you will also need to allow the right amount of wire that you've cut there if you want to do it bigger than an average loop. So I'm bending that round, dropping that back into that loop. Just get that round a little more, sorry. And then finishing that off there. And if you need to, that isn't quite nipped in, so I can just tuck that in. Now what I've done, I've ended up pulling that over to the side a little in my efforts there, so I can just straighten that up. Straighten that up there, which will just get that in place and just finish that loop off there. It's tricky working around this little tiny stem, but they look so delicate when they're done. They're so worth the persevering to get that loop there. So now I've got my wire nicely tightly pulled. So now we're secure. I can pull that even tighter if I wish to. And then we want to curl this round. So in the instructions, I had a coiling gizmo, if any of you have got one of those, which is just a straight one size of wire. So you can either do it on that. Now this is probably too long actually, in fairness. I'm going to trim that a section, but it doesn't matter how long it is. And I'm going to do this round the round nose pliers. So I'm going to take that and curl round like so. So if you see, I'm turning, releasing, dropping it back, turning, and this is how I'm going to get the coil all the way round like so. So that's there. If I wanted it a little smaller, I could go higher up the loop or just tighten it up after like that. That's one side done. And then the other side, I think that was about the right length. So if you wanted it a bit bigger, you could just leave more wire. We'll get it on the same place on the pliers, so we're getting the same size coils, and we're doing lots of little turns. So if you do it around a straight piece of metal or something, you could just keep wrapping it round instead of doing this turning technique. But if you haven't got anything like that, or knitting needles or anything, you can do it around there. So quite happy with that. Let's see if I get that in focus for you. There we go. Look how cute they are. Super cute earrings. Now, of course, not all young people wear earrings, and some people might want to make these as little Halloween gifts. So feel free to include it onto a necklace, maybe make a little festive seasonal bag charm or something like that. So what we can do, we've made that loop. We can either flip the loop open or we can flip the base of the ear wire. So I'm going to go ear wire on this time. Flipping the base of the ear wire open, hooking that loop of that pumpkin onto there. And flipping that back closed again. That's the part there to add it onto the earring. And then you have yourself a gorgeous little pumpkin earring. So do feel free to add those onto other jewellery making bits and bobs. And if it's a gift for a young person, it might be rather lovely if you did it onto a bag charm or something too. So that is our pumpkin earrings to have a look. Let's have a little look at the next project. So I'll just pop this one away. So everything comes in its little bags. So if you've got spare bits, just pop those in there. I'm going to pop all those away. I tend to keep everything. So if I'm just making 1 or 2 pairs, I would keep it with the instructions in the little bags it comes in. And then they're ready if you want, when you want to make your next pair out of them. It might be you just make a couple up this year and you've got them for next year as well. So they're all gold-plated findings, so they're a good quality finding that you're working with. So that one's ready to go. So let's look at Willow the Witch. This is Willow the Witch. Again, good step by step, each step of the way, but I can show you how to make her as well. So each of her materials come individually bagged again. So these are gorgeous bugle beads. And I think mixed in there are our little seed beads. So I'm just going to tip a few out. So that's it, I've got them. So I've got my little seed beads in there as well. There. I'm only going to need one of those. Then we're going to go one of those, which is our head. Lovely little witch's hat. Sparkle spacer bead, which are our exclusive plated spacers in gorgeous colours. And not only do they lend themselves to the sort of thing we do, you know, like our angels that we build with our sparkle spacers, they're beautiful for just single use, things like this. So our team worked really hard to create these gorgeous little characters for you. And then these are the skirt for Willow the Witch. And then we've given you a couple of size head pins potentially in your kit here. This one has some of the longer ones and some of the shorter ones, potentially a little ball end one as well, which make it look like her little legs and things and her hands. So I'm going to need a couple of those as well, 4 of those. I think it is along the way. Okay, so let's start by making her legs. So one of the ball end head pins. And we're going to pop 3, I hope, on there. 1, 2, 3 of those. Now the size is very conveniently placed not to need to cut any off. So, but you also don't want to do a giant loop on these. So then bend that at a 90-degree angle, just popping that bending it in. Like so, and then round nose pliers, rolling that round. Let's do this up here so you can hopefully see it. Round we go in a couple of turns. I tend to do that until it's closed and gripping that in there. So that is that for her legs. So then I'm going to do a second one. Now that didn't quite close, I've just noticed when I put that down, and because the boogle's so small, it will get caught in the loop. That's it. So I've just gone back and I've tightened that in there. So we'll do the same on the other for the other leg. Ruby boogles and then your loop. So bending that at a 90-degree angle. Like I said, I push it with my finger, but you can sort of pull it over with the pliers. Don't stab yourself, whatever you do. So it's every week, but it's very important. Round those pliers, rolling. Drop it back into that loop is how I do my loops, and carry on rolling. And then you could just nip that back in. Natural loop there. Okay, so there's our two legs done for that part. We'll do the arms at the same time, I think. So on the ball end head pin, so it looks like she's got gorgeous little hands. Just gone for 2 for the arms. And so you're probably going to want to cut some off of this. So we'll cut that off there. I'll just prepare both of them, cutting them first. So 2 of those. And cut him. Okay, then we're going to do our loops again. So there's lots of headpin work. This is really good practice for your headpin loops and getting that technique right on those. The thing I always say with headpin loops, there's a sort of way to get them round and central and all of that. But actually, if you just get them closed, ultimately that's what you're looking for, is to get that headpin loop closed. Sorry, gone out of camera, guys. Sorry, trying to watch what I was doing as well. So as long as that's closed, it doesn't massively matter what shape it is. And then this one here again, bending it at a 90-degree angle. And then I'm going to do my loop. It's getting right to the end of that pin at first, but not all the way off that it does that and slips. So gripping it firm enough to go round. Okay, that's those. So that's that part of it done. So what we can do with this as well is slightly just hold the whole loop and tip it over to one side a little, which just sort of makes it sit within the witch. Like that. Tipping. So it just sort of makes her arms sit down by her side a little bit more, but that we can always adjust that after. So the next thing we do with our head pin is turn it into an eye pin. So if you're doing this and you've got eye pins or some wire, feel free to use those instead and keep your head pins from our kits. Cut the base off and turn a loop. So you turn it about 1 centimetre above the bottom of that wire. Grab hold of that and roll. So we're creating a loop at the bottom, which turns that into your eye pin, but it's, you know, it's using a base of a head pin. Could even go a fraction bigger there just to make that fit the space we've got. There we go. So what we're going to do is pop that there and get the flat nose pliers now. So either, if you go for one of our kits, either of the 2 pairs, the wider one or the chain nose one is fine. They're flat in the middle as opposed to being round. So then what we do is we pop open the base of there and you pop the 2 legs via the loops onto that, and then we would grab hold of that with our pliers. Again, the flat nose ones are the ones we use for grip, and clip that shut again. Then we've got our legs done there. Now we can build up the rest of our witch and pop her skirt on. She's an elegant witch, of course, not a scary looking witch. Popping the skirt on, both of the arms. Like so. And then one of the small seed beads I said about, it just sort of gives her a bit of a neck and just separates the arms from the head just by putting a little bead on there, and it will just hold that in place a bit more effectively for you. So then we go for our head, our rim of our hat, which is our 12mm sparkle spacer. And then the last bit, which just fits there. If I grab this by the pliers, you'll be able to see that all in place there. So again, with this, I'm not going to need to cut any off. That's just enough space for me to work on this. So we need to bend that at a 90-degree angle and really try and get it close to the top of that hat, just so we're using the space that we've got. And then getting your round nose pliers on the end there. Gripping. I'm doing a bit of rolling my hand and rolling the piece here, actually, just because I'm trying to work under the camera so you can see it as effectively as possible. Let's clip that in. Can't quite see. That's got it. Lovely. So that's all enclosed now. Now we can shape us, and now we can work out if we've got everything in place. So we can pop those there. Have we got the shape on the arms? They're sitting quite nicely downwards. If they spin round a little too much, I've not got these quite as tight as I could have. I've not pressed them all down to hold them in place. You could always put a little drop of glue in there if you prefer them to be static, but I think it's nice, the movability, especially on our legs. But if you feel you want to attach the arms with a drop of glue, feel free, or just make sure your loop's tighter so it pushes it all down. And that is your gorgeous Willow the Witch from Riverside Beads. So the last one I wanted to look at is our spider. This is a whirlwind tour of our current Halloween charms. We've got so many different ideas for Halloween charms, but we thought we'd get these 3 to you in one go for now. Right, so that's gorgeous Willow. So don't forget, you get full step-by-step instructions with one of Riverside Beads kits, plus the materials. This is a kit to make everything you need. Each of these ones make 10 of the characters. So it's 10 pumpkins that you can turn into earrings and 10 of Willow the Witch. Now let's do Winsy for the beaded spider. So Winsy is made from an assortment of seed beads, carefully placed, lovely teardrops, which lend themselves beautifully to a spider's body. I need my tiny little bead cap. I'll explain that bit in a moment for you. I took these all out, I think. You see these tiny little things here? Sometimes look like a spare part, very essential. What these do is these expand the base of your head pin to make it so your beads don't fall off. Because otherwise, when you pop your this bead onto a head pin, sometimes that hole's a little bit bigger than we'd like it to be. So yes, you can just pop one of those on as a preventer to stop it falling off. You may not need it, but if you do, you've got them. If not, keep them in your stash. They're the most useful little bead caps that we do, really, if you don't want to see them too much. So one of our head pins. And then we've got our black seed beads. We're doing our little spider legs. And then a roll of wire as well. You've probably got way too much wire than you need, but it's a nice thin wire, really useful for this type of thing. So let's just break into this one. Just going to pull that through. The first time you use it, if you've got it clipped in there, it just holds that in place. Be careful when you undo this, because it can unravel. Right, it's behaving for me today. So that's, oh no, spoke too soon, didn't I? Okay, stay. So that's that. So let's have a look at how we would create these. So I just want to show you the nylon jaw pliers with that wire, because it's quite creased. The nylon jaw pliers are these here, which have a flat inner, but they're nylon. So what you can do here is, we only need little tiny bits of this wire, so I'll just do a little piece. Hold on to it with your flat nose pliers, leave it on the roll like I have there. Pull your flat nose pliers, and that will just iron out those kinks there. So So just a little bit there, probably, I think it's about 10 centimetres or so you need, depending on how long you want the legs to be. Just going to pop that back in there, which will put another crease in, but if you've got your nylon jaw pliers, that'll straighten that out, or you could cut all of those in one go. Okay, so let's move that out of the way. To build up the body, what we do first is we pop our bead cap first, our bead, teardrop bead, our head, like so. Now on this one, what I'm going to do, we are going to do the loop on the top first, but we're going to do it but allowing a little gap that will then be where we put the arms inside there. So as much as I've been saying up to now, make sure you get that loop nice and tight if you can. On this one, we do want to leave a gap. So what we need to allow is our centimetre over the top of the head, plus that gap we're going to need. So when we bend it, we're not going to bend it close to the top of the head. So we're going to chop it there. And take our round nose pliers, and we are leaving that gap, so that's really handy for bending it all the way with your pliers, because it leaves a gap, and that's what can happen. If I bring that up to show you, if you want to try and get it close but you're bending it over the pliers, then this can happen. You can get that little gap, but we're going to utilize that to pop the legs in. So what I'm going to do, round nose pliers here and turn the loop. And I've got quite a big space, so I'm going a little further up the pliers this time, just to make use of that wire that I've got. Somewhere there, she says. There we go. Okay, so I've got our loop, but I've got a gap above the top of that bead, and that's good. We're going to use that in a moment. So that's the body done. Now, what we would do, to show this properly, I would need to have done all of my legs together, so 4 lengths of my wire, but I'm going to show you in principle with the one. So what we do is we pop this around the center of that head pin, and we're going to wrap it like we did going back to the pumpkin, how we attached it to the wire. If you've got all 4, you can do all 4 in one go, so you would have 8 legs in principle. Then the 4 legs come in either side. Now I'm a little bit longer that side. If I wanted to make use of that, I could just pull on this one. If I couldn't do it with my hands, I could grip onto it with air, and it will sort of like slide it over a bit and just tighten that up. And if you need to, and you've got your nylon jaw pliers, give them another iron out to while it's on there, just to straighten that out. But we are going to kink it anyway, so it's not the end of the world. Makes it easy to get the beads on if it's straighter. So again, with wire, a bit like with head pins, we're going to pick them up from the mat. So we're going to take this wire to the beads. They are random beads. They're not a preciosa. So preciosa are your very uniformed beads, and the ones that we stock on our website as well. But we have some of these in store, and we use these ones in our kit. Gives that sort of rustic look to this type of project. So we're going to go for around 10 beads, I guess, something like that. What have I got? 5? Oh, 10, perfect. Okay, so that's that. Now with this end, you can either turn a loop, but because it's quite fine wire, I find I like to do a wrapped loop just to make it a bit more sturdy, so a little shorter than it is. And then round nose pliers, and some of these techniques you'll see are similar for each project that we've been doing. And I'm doing all them little turns I did before on the coil, and I'm bringing this round and round and round there, which will just make a little coiled foot for your spider. Round and round until we're happy that's there. And then that's done a little coil there. Make that to focus. Again, everything but my coil, isn't it? Hopefully you can see that enough. That's a little coil round there. So that's his legs. So we would carry on making those. I'll do the other side, and then I can show you how we shape them. So you would add all eight spiders' legs on, around 10 beads. You can adjust it if you want it bigger or smaller. We had this sitting around, not just at Halloween, but we seem to have it hang around all last year. And everywhere where you turned, you had a little beaded spider looking at you. That and a little Easter egg. So we're a shop. So yeah, the little Easter egg seems to hover about all year, and you'll move and it'll have moved with you. And relocated to a different space. So yeah, do pop by to our shop if you're a local. For a start, if you're in the UK, because I know if you're watching this back on YouTube, you could be anywhere. Secondly, if you're in the UK and anywhere that you can get to us in Peterborough in the United Kingdom, which is the border of Cambridgeshire and Lincolnshire. So we sit rather conveniently placed in a lovely market town, and we have a fabulous bead and craft shop here. And yeah, stock all sorts of things like this, and a range of beads and findings and everything you could need. Looks like a little person at the moment with arms, but if you had 8 of those on there, you can see in principle how this starts to form. Then what I do, I tend to either with the pliers or just my fingers bend them to resemble sort of legs, to resemble the spider's legs. And then you can see how that's going to start to build up, and it will make your beaded spider when you're finished with it. So you can go either way with the, I've gone that way with the loop, because I think if you want it as a necklace or something, a spidery necklace, you could hang it from there, but you could also put your loop this end. You could also do the sort of coiled loop that I've shown you there with the last bit of the pin, save cutting any off, so you can make a little coil coming out of the bottom there of the spider. Also makes a fabulous brooch. If you get a brooch back and glue that on, what a fabulous seasonal project to make. So thank you very much to those of you that are tuned in here on Facebook. We do these live every 3:30. That's not a day. Every Wednesday at 3:30, and it's a different project each week, and then it gets posted onto the Riverside Beads YouTube channel. So if you're watching back here, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And next week I'm going to be showing you our 7 braid disc, which I've managed to show to our Facebook viewers, but haven't managed to get it onto YouTube yet. So I will do that, and we'll get that on YouTube too, hopefully next week.